The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we've initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is how to set up Project Management Office. Our guest speaker today is Bhaskar Dev Chaudhary. He is a project management consultant at Knowledge Woods. Bhaskar is a seasoned project management savvy having 10 years plus experience, works with Knowledge Wood as project management consultant, and is there to help execute the strategic technical plan for organizations' educational and consulting assignments. He possesses strong skills in Oracle Primavera and has conducted several batches on how to manage projects efficiently using this software. Bhaskar has successfully been applying core project management principles based on PMI's project management body of knowledge to deliver the Microsoft project-based consulting, training and support solutions for medium and large corporations. Bhaskar excels in providing project management support services to industry verticals like IT, ITES, telecom, energy, power, steel, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and government sector, just to name a few. He also possesses rich exposure in interacting, working closely with top-level management to drive implementation of project management tools and techniques for achieving organizational goals. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Bhaskar.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this session on how to set up a project management office, and thanks to Deepika for the introduction of my entire profile. So let us quickly jump onto the agenda of today's session. So in this session today we will be covering certain aspects of PMO, and we'll start off with the various aspects why project management is important, what exactly is a PMO, why do we need a project management office, what are the basic things we have to keep in mind while implementing a PMO, like the basic steps we need to follow, right? And some such tips to ensure that your PMO is a success and to avoid certain pitfalls which many organizations do face, though they have implemented a PMO, but some PMO does fail in achieving their objectives, right? So this would be the agenda of today's session. So let us quickly start it. So as you know that organizations nowadays are heavily investing on projects to meet their strategic objectives. They are investing on various project management trainings, they are getting certified project managers on board. So that makes obviously project management a very essential function when it comes to meeting the objectives, strategic objectives of an organization. Because project management ensures that not only you deliver the projects on time, but you deliver the projects within all defined constraints. And thereby a very structured project management processes, practices if followed in an organization will ensure that your project is not only adhering to time and budget, but it also adheres to other constraints that are related to your project. But though organizations are investing heavily on trainings and formal practices, various softwares, high-end softwares, but still we see projects do fail. And some of the common reasons that why projects fail, if you go across various industry verticals, are not related to softwares, are not related to processes that are in place, but mainly because ad hoc practices are being followed, or user involvement is not there, or maybe the requirements that are collected are not refined particularly so that you can develop your entire schedule or your entire WBS for the project. There are no change control procedures, changes are happening on an ad hoc basis. Some stakeholder, senior stakeholder comes and requests a change and the project manager goes ahead and changes that. So many problems, but ultimate result is that the projects do fail. And these are some of the reasons why projects fail. Then what is the solution? formal trainers are there, project management trainings are there, certified people are there, tools are there, softwares are there, then what's the solution? So various experts across various industry verticals have recommended that there should be a specialized unit to handle all project management initiatives, to handle all program related initiatives. These units, specialized units, should be able to coach, should be able to support the project management team, should be able to provide standardized processes, tools, templates, and if required, maybe take over the entire project and handle it from start to end. That specialized unit is what a PMO is, right? But is there a standard PMO which applies to all the organizations? The answer is no. There is no standard solution, there is no standard PMO, there is no fit for all PMO. It has to be tailor-made with the organization requirement. It has to be structured based on the necessity of the organization. It has to be structured, it has to be customized based on the requirements, the scope of the organization. Now what PMO essentially does and why do we need a PMO? Right? So if an organization is handling multiple cross-functional projects, the reasons can be manifold that why do you need a PMO. And some of the reasons why we need a PMO are to ensure that estimates are realistic, project priorities are managed effectively based on timelines, budgets, there is effective resource utilization and management, there is consistent application of standard practices, processes, tools, metrics, templates. It's not that only on one project it should be applied, it should be consistent application throughout the organization. There should be enhancement of skill set of the individuals and thereby enhancement of the skill set of the entire bench strength of the organization. The processes should be repeatable and it should not be like you are inventing the wheel every time. And obviously at the end there should be continuous cultural and organizational change, organizational improvement. Right? These are some of the reasons why do you need a PMO. Now what should be the approach to set up a PMO? Now approaches can be many, but if I typically break down the entire approach to implement a PMO, it can be broken down into three basic stages called the plan stage, the implement stage, and the manage stage. So what do you do in each of these stages? There are various processes which could be followed sequentially. There are various processes among these stages which could be done on an overlapping manner. And what are the basic things that we do in each of these stages is what we are going to discuss today. Right? This stage of implementing a PMO will come once the business case has been identified that yes, a PMO is a solution to all the problems that are existing in the organization, and then you adopt these stages. These stages will not let you develop the business case that why do you need a PMO. We are assuming that yes, a PMO is required in an organization so that we can improve our processes, we can standardize our processes, and there are repeatable processes and more success stories in our organization. And then we go ahead and implement these three stages, how to implement the PMO. Now let us take each of these stages in detail. We'll run through each of these stages, what are the basic steps we do in each of these phases or stages, and we'll also discuss about the deliverables that we get out of these stages. So first stage is about the plan stage. The plan stage of the phase typically answers questions related to why do we need a PMO, what are the services that the PMO will offer, how will he achieve those services, who is going to achieve those services, and when we are going to achieve those services, and documenting everything and getting an approval, a sign-off, a buy-in for all these things that we just discussed. So let us talk about the few basic things that plan stage answers. As I said, the plan stage answers questions like why, what, how, when, and who is going to do it. Okay. So the first thing that you do in planning is decide why you are setting up the PMO, the purpose, the goals of the PMO. This basically, a simple statement on purpose and goals can serve as a guide to the PMO team, can serve as a core communications platform for all stakeholders. So the goals, it should be a brief statement of certain goals that the PMO wants to achieve. And some of examples of goals could be like alignment of project and project activities and business strategies and investments. There is consistency in adherence to all the project management processes and methodologies. There is improved collaboration and knowledge sharing between various cross-functional departments. There is that resources should be up and ready to face the various project management challenges, the various growing demands of complex demands of projects. World-class training should be provided so that the resources are aware of all the various project management standards, right? And optimum resource utilization and capacity management, and obviously better visibility of all project-related data related to risks, dates, schedules, issues, and this visibility should be available to the executive level. Okay. So these are some examples of the basic purpose and goals of a PMO. Now, as I said earlier, does a standard PMO exist which applies to all the organization? No, there is no standard PMO, there is no fit for all PMO. What type of PMO do we require? What extent of services do we require? What should be the scope of the PMO can be decided by the next step, where you decide the scope and maturity, the scope of your PMO and the maturity of your organization. Here you have to decide basically two things. What is the current scope and where do you want to go? What is the current maturity of your organization and where do you want to go? There are various models there which can help you understand the organizational maturity. Like if I talk about CMMI, then from PMI you have OPM3, which talks about the maturity of their organization in terms of project, portfolio, program management. And what should be the focus areas of the PMO? One example as shown on your screen is about this, where if I see that this talks about an organization which is highlighted in red, that this talks about an organization which is currently focusing on project management, and the organization maturity is at level 1. So basically it means when the focus is on project, that only focuses on project management training, mentoring, coaching, project level budgets, scheduling, resources, deliverable scope related to projects only. And the level 1 organization means that processes are ad hoc. The success of the projects solely depends on an individual. There are no standardized processes, right? And as I said, this matrix, this model, there are various models available like CMMI and OPM which you can use to define this. So current situation shows that level 1 is the organization and their current focus is on project management. And where do they want to go? They want to go, their focus, they want to change it to the program level, to the portfolio level, and also mature the organization to the level 2. So when I say that focus should be on program management, focus is on better utilization of resources among various projects, interrelated projects, management of interdependencies, effective management of interdependencies between projects. And then when it comes to portfolio management, focus is more on benefit realization, optimum utilization of investments, alignment to strategic goals, and so on. And mature the organization from level 1 to level 2 means more standardized processes, more success stories, processes are defined, tools, techniques for change control processes, issue management processes, and all, so on and so forth. Okay. So this will help you to decide where exactly you are and where you want to go. This is basically the assessment. Then the next step, once you have decided that what exactly are the purpose, goals, and what exactly is your current maturity of the organization and where exactly you want to land up in, then it's deciding about the core services of your PMO. The core services of the PMO should be aligned to the purpose and goals, which will help in achieving the purpose and goals. And this can range from, as you can see on your screen, it can range from individual project management related activities and coordinate like issues, res, schedules, cost, quality, and it can go up to the strategic alignment, and it can also cover certain core services like professional development, enhancing of skills of the individuals, better resource management, better collaboration. So these are some of the core services that a PMO can offer. This is an example. It can offer many more. Many organizations take this as in a long time frame they would offer these services. It's not that at one go you try and achieve all these services. You go step by step. It's a phase by phase process, and you don't immediately bring on many changes. You start from a very low level and then you go at the top level. It should always be a phase-wise approach. Then once the core services are defined, next important step is to have metrics that will ensure that you have achieved your core services and you can measure those services. Have you achieved it optimally, or are there any improvement required? Are there any changes required? So always define metrics to your services, to your core services. So some examples of metrics for your core services are shown on your screen. Like if I talk about individual project management level, it can be like number of changes that have been processed through the proper change control process, number of issues that have been handled through the issue management process. If I talk about professional development, number of certified project managers that are on board, number of trainings that have been imparted, and percentage reduction in outsourcing and projects that are outsourced earlier that were outsourced just because lack of resources, project management skill set on board. What is the percentage reduction in that? Number of, if I talk about business strategy alignment, number of projects that are aligned to the business strategies. So the key aspect, the key benefit of defining metrics against all the core services is that you can measure. You can measure it against a quantified number. Okay. Then the next step in the plan phase itself, till now we decided why we are going to have the PMO and what would be the services that the PMO would offer. Now question comes, how you're going to do it. That is the next step. You should define all the business processes. What should be your delivery mechanisms to achieve those core services. And some of the delivery mechanisms to achieve the core services, that if I talk about one of the core services being collaboration and knowledge management, it can be achieved through implementation of various solutions. Like one solution from Microsoft, you have SharePoint, which enables collaboration, knowledge management, knowledge sharing. If I talk about professional development, skill set enhancement, it can be done through various trainings. Trainings could be classroom trainings. Trainings could be blended learnings like e-learning plus classroom. You can outsource the training part. So basically you decide your delivery mechanisms. So another delivery mechanism for resource management, like if you are using any softwares like Microsoft Project, Microsoft Project Server, resource management is a core function of those softwares. So how will you achieve those core services? In the business processes stage, you decide what should be your delivery mechanisms. So here are some examples as you can see on your screen. So remember, I reiterate, always have metrics for all your core services and always have delivery mechanisms for all your core services. Now the next important stage that is important in the plan phase is answering who is going to do what, whom the project management office will report to, who are the core team members of your PMO. So basically deciding the entire organization structure and the PMO reporting structure. A typical PMO reporting structure could look like this. The basic benefit of this step is to ensure who is going to deliver the service offerings that you have envisaged the PMO will offer, who will be the customer of those services, whom the PMO is accountable to, and the reporting relationship within the PMO. So this is again a very important step. This streamlines your communication part, how the communication will happen within the PMO and outside the PMO, how the stakeholders will be managed within the PMO and outside the PMO. Now once these are decided, any plan, any initiative should always be associated with timelines and milestones, a very important part. It should not be a never-ending process. There should be defined timelines, defined milestones, so that people are aware when they are going to see the results, that a PMO is in place, money has gone into the PMO, and so when are we going to see the results? So always a timeline and key milestones should be associated. So this is a typical example. If I talk about the plan stage generally will get completed when the charter is defined. We'll talk about the charter. Then the implement stage, what are the key milestones in the implementation stage. Then the manage stage, what are the key milestones in the manage stage, when you're going to achieve these. Now once these things are over, these things are done, the most important part is to document, get approval, get a buy-in from the stakeholders, document everything in the charter and get a sign-off. This is very, very crucial. It cannot be skipped and you cannot proceed without getting a sign-off, without getting a buy-in from the stakeholders, from the sponsors. So everything that we discussed in the plan phase should be documented. It's an overview document. Right? And get a sign-off and buy-in. So once the charter is signed, then it talks about the next stages of your PMO implementation. The next stage is about the implementation phase. So whatever we have planned till now, that these are the core services, whatever would be the delivery mechanisms, what we have planned to do, the time to do is the implementation phase. This is where you do all the implementation jobs. So it typically starts off with the execution. So if I just quickly jump into the first stage, it quickly starts off with the execution of the hiring plan. It starts off with the hiring plan. So in this hiring plan, basically you should have the team members who are going to be a part of your PMO and define their roles and responsibilities. The typical roles and responsibilities of the PMO team members could be like a PMO director providing the strategic direction, PMO manager managing the project management resources, providing coaching, mentoring, for the training manager understanding the current skill set of the organization, developing a plan to enhance the skill sets and offering training, certification programs, the PMO analyst mainly working with dashboards, reports, tracking of various projects. So you define the detailed roles and responsibilities for all the members that are a part of your PMO. This basically answers question who is responsible for which part of the job. Then the next step is whichever projects that are active in the organization, you have to gather every data of that project that are going on, that are active, and analyze. So some typical data of the projects that you can collect are related to project name, description, their scope, how they are aligned to the business strategy, the vision, what type of project is it, what kind of resources are being used, what are the schedule plans, when it started, when it is going to finish, what are the costings and issues. Any issues that are there. And not only gathering the data, it's also about analyzing the data so that you understand if there are any potential issues or opportunities that are existing right now, and obviously generate baseline plans which can be used for future comparison. And obviously after you go through this analysis phase, it will also help you understand if there are any issues that would require immediate attention, so you can prioritize that way. Then comes one of the important aspects of implementation phase is the methodology and standard definition. What do you mean by this? This basically means that you define your execution methodologies. The PMO should always define their execution methodologies through which they are going to provide training, coaching, mentoring, tools and templates. Like if I talk about IT projects, Agile could be used. If I talk about new product development, Stage Gate should be used. If I talk about process improvement, Six Sigma could be used. And it's not only about talking about the standards that are going to be used, it's also about giving standard definitions to all the attributes that your project uses day in, day out, like standard definition to issues, risks, change, trigger events, and also standardize the processes and actions that projects generally use, like communications, escalations, resolutions, change management processes, and so on. What this will do, this will basically ensure that everybody is on the same page. People will not use their own definitions, people will not use their own standards, people will not use their own processes. Then the next step is about understanding the current skill set of your organization and devising the development plan for them. In this case, first you understand what are the skills that are available in your organization, what is their current level of competency. Then develop a plan for individuals and for the organization as well, that where we are and where we want to go. In this case, various certification programs can be introduced which follows certain globally accepted standards. Like if I talk about PMP, PINS2, these are globally accepted certification when it comes to project management, and the standards that are being used, the methodologies that are being used are globally accepted. The PMO should always leverage the system to track development plans, trainings, certifications, feedback, what effectiveness the trainings have provided. And in this case, outsourcing of trainings also can be thought of. Like if I talk about PMP trainings, there are various organizations who provide trainings on project management. There are industry experts who does that. So all this should be covered once you're assessing your skills and developing plans for that. And one important part of the implementation phase is whatever you're doing, project tracking, scheduling, monitoring, budgeting, risk management, issue management, changes, processes. If things has to be visible, there has to be a proper project portfolio management system in place. That project portfolio management system can range from simple spreadsheet, where you can just have individual related activities, issue, risk registers and all. And it can go up to high-end solutions like project portfolio management solutions we have from Microsoft, like Microsoft Project and Project Server. These tools, these softwares, what it does, they basically help send reporting, tracking, understanding the schedules, providing dashboards, providing visibility of various project program related data to the executives, to the decision makers, so that they can take informed decisions on a timely basis. Right? Now, which tool to use, what purpose, it totally depends on what is the scope and maturity of organization. It's not that you have to use Project Server or you have to use Excel sheet. It totally depends on what exactly is the scope of the PMO that we discussed earlier, and what is the maturity of the organization and what exactly we want to achieve out of the PMO. But yes, these tools obviously helps us in proper monitoring, visibility, tracking, and always works as an alert system. So these are few things that you should cover in your implementation phase. Now the next stage about PMO implementation is your manage phase. So what does the manage phase does? Manage phase is about reviewing your services, is about reviewing how the PMO is performing, is about reviewing is the PMO providing value to the organization. And obviously, as organizations mature, individuals mature, PMO also should mature. They should not remain static, or else they will lose their value. So few things that you do in this manage phase. First is project reviews. This should be periodic, quite frequent, and focus should be on, like if I talk about projects, focus could be on, while reviewing the project data, focus could be on how consistent project planning, delivery and reporting processes are being used, how project is closely aligned to the scope and objectives. They should not deviate from the scope and objectives that have been finalized, how task assignment and reporting processes are adhered to, how issues and changes are managed, how the communication is flowing, any improvement required in the communication channels, is everybody satisfied with the information they are getting. When you review programs, focus could be on how effectively you manage the dependencies between the interrelated projects, how it is being reported, how progress at the lowest level is rolled up to the master schedule, to the program level schedule. And not only this, you should also assess the skill set of the individuals to whom you have provided trainings, coaching, mentoring. Is any further training required? Where exactly are they now? Has there been any improvement, or do we need any changes in the training plans? Do we need any changes in the competency development plans? So all reviews has to be done. This will obviously let you know that are you going on the right track, are there any problems, and if any improvement, updation, changes required or not. Not only this, the manage phase is also about ensuring that you work closely with the PMO governance entity. Yes, PMO job is to track whether projects are being delivered on time, scope, consistent processes are being used at the individual project level, but a PMO should also add value at the organization level. A PMO should always add value at the organization level. So if I talk about a PMO governance entity, senior stakeholders, they are always looking at the PMO to play a more consultative role. So PMO should always be able to give reasoning why to retain a project based on proper justifications. If any project has to be killed, it should be able to give proper justification that the project is no longer maybe aligned to the strategic goal of the organization. Maybe lots of changes are happening, management becomes very difficult. PMO should be able to identify opportunities that various initiatives could be clubbed, could be consolidated as a program, so that benefits of managing them together can be obtained, economies of scale can be obtained. And a PMO should also be able to consult how to prioritize the projects based on various opportunities, resource utilization, performance, and so on. And not only this, PMO should be able to answer these questions at any time. That is the PMO providing any value? Is there any changes required? Have we taken the organization to the next maturity level? Do we know the current status of the project? Do we pick the right projects? Are we investing on the right projects? Are we managing, escalating, handling issues, resolving issues properly as per the defined processes? Are they adding value? The processes that the PMO has set in, are they adding value to the organization? What is the overall resource utilization? Is capacity being managed optimally? So these are some questions which a PMO should always be ready to answer. And as I said at the beginning of the session, that a PMO should not be static. It should have its own plan to improve. Organizations will improve, individuals will improve, so has the PMO also has to scale up. Again, there are various models which can be used, like CMMI, OPA3, and various models which can be used to mature the PMO. So these are some things which you need to keep in mind while you are implementing your PMO. Now, so next is obviously deciding and checking out few pitfalls that a PMO might fall into and might result that the PMO will not be a successful initiative. So some of the common reasons why PMO fail, if you go through various organization data and industrial data, PMO fails not because of any technology or process related issues. PMO fails because of people related issues. So some of the reasons could be like less involvement of the executive stakeholders, the senior management, less involvement. What organizations does when project is not being delivered successfully, not being delivered on time, what people do, what senior management does, they authorize a PMO. And when it comes to taking crucial decisions, attending steering committee meetings, they send their junior executives to be a part of those meetings, and they are absent from those meetings because of time constraints. And these junior resources generally do not have the decision-making power. So what ultimately happens, projects are still failing, projects are still not getting delivered on time, and ultimately the management decides to disband the PMO. So always ensure that there is involvement of senior stakeholders, senior leadership. Another reason why PMO fails is that PMO is not able to customize, PMO is not able to adapt as per the requirements of the organization. As I said earlier, that there is no fit for all PMO for every organization. It has to be customized according to its requirements, according to the needs of the organization. And it should be scalable. It should not remain static. It should be always scalable. There should be scalable plans. That is what we discussed in the last stage of your last process of your manage phase, where you talk about maturing your PMO. A PMO should always be able to mature itself, not remain static, or else it will lose value. Another reason why PMO fails is that it becomes the enemy of the project manager. Why? Because PMO works as a police. That should never happen. The PMO should play the role that, yes, you are there to support the project manager. You are there to help the project manager. You are not to take away his job. You have to help him. You have to support him. You have to ensure that he is open to you. He should be sharing his problems, his issues that he's facing in his project. Then only you can devise plans and you can strategize it accordingly. Another reason why PMO fails, it is again aligned to adaptability and scalability only, that there is no strategic vision of the PMO. They remain static at one place. They are just mostly concerned about solving day-to-day project related issues, updating schedules, updating cost and so on, reporting and so on. Think from an organization's perspective. If a PMO is not adding value to the organization, if it is not bringing about a cultural change, if it is not bringing about a change in the organization, won't it lose value in the organization? So a PMO should always be relevant to the organization. It should do its daily job also related to project, but it also should add value to the organization by improving processes, suggesting which project to retain, which project to prioritize, which project to kill, how to consolidate various projects based on opportunities that are there. Another reason why PMO fails is that there is never a metric defined for the services that a PMO is offering. There are just vague statements like resource, like if I say an example, competency development of resources in the organization. That's a vague, non-measurable statement. So you have to define metrics for it, that how many certified managers you need by the end of a year or by the end of a period, how many trainings you need to deliver, what should be the percentage reduction in the number of projects that are outsourced because of lack of project management resources capability in your organization. Now, to ensure that, these are some of the pitfalls that a PMO might fall into, so you should be careful of these things and plan accordingly. Now, I would share some tips which will help you in ensuring that your PMO is a successful PMO and you grow and you achieve value to your organization, you deliver value to your organization and you achieve success. Some of the tips are, always remember that whenever you are implementing a PMO, whenever you are introducing services, processes, methodologies, always try to implement best practices which are recognized globally, which are accepted globally. Whenever you are introducing new changes, obviously you will face challenges, face resistance. There will be people who will resist to change. People would be used to working on certain processes, working on certain defined processes, and once you bring out a change, there will always be a resistance to change. Be aware of that and plan for that accordingly. Make sure that you show results as quickly as possible. As I said earlier, there should be timelines, milestones associated to it, what you're going to do when, visibility is required, so that it is not a never-ending process. You should be able to show results. I repeated this, sponsoring at the highest level, membership, involvement at the highest level is always required. A PMO without the senior stakeholders' involvement will lose value, will fail. Always remember that you involve your stakeholders, your senior membership. Scalable, always have plans for future. How will you scale up your PMO? And last but not the least, be open to accept ideas from different organizations, from different people in the organization, experts, individuals who are handling projects, so that you can bring changes, bring improvements in your PMO. So these are few things you should keep in mind so that you ensure that your PMO implementation is a success and you continuously grow and keep on adding value to your organization. Few things I reiterate: always have sponsors get involved, always get their buy-in, always have scalability, always have metrics defined for the services, and if you keep these things in mind, obviously being a person who is going to implement PMO in your organization, you will always see success. So with this, I come to the end of this session, and I throw the session to you now. You can have your questions put across to me. Any questions, I would be very happy to answer.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Thank you so much. Thanks for the insightful presentation. Let's quickly take up the questions now. I would request you to read them out and their answers so that all our users may listen to your commendable insights.
Okay, one of the questions I have is, can't we implement PMO as a project and follow all 5 process groups: initiate, plan, execute, monitor, control, and closing? See, once you're talking about the process groups, right, these are PMI process groups. What I was talking about the phases of the project. These process groups can be repeated in all the phases. So yes, you can implement your initiate, plan, execute, monitor, control, closing in the phases of your PMO. What we talked about are the phases. Okay, one question is from Sanjay Singh. How do we assess if PMO is really needed? Now, for that, you really need to understand how exactly the projects are being run in your organization, what are the issues being faced, what improvements is the organization looking for. So basically, you're talking about, you need to prepare a business case for that. Do we need so for that, you need to assess all your projects in your organization first. That what are the issues, what are the challenges, what improvements could be there. So one of the question is that I am a head software developer in a startup company in my organization. I want to implement some PM and reporting structure. Please suggest some tools. Project management and reporting structure. So in these cases, I will tell you there are various web-based solutions. There are various standard solutions from Microsoft which can be used. Like Microsoft Project is one of the various standard tool that is being used to prepare the schedule, report, monitor, tracking of your project. You can use that. And for introducing project management, I would suggest that as I talked about, certain project management certifications, trainings are there, which can be introduced in your organization. You can outsource the training part. There are various organizations which run various project management trainings, and you can nominate people to those trainings so that they are aware of the various project management standards, processes that are being used in your organization. Another question is that any open source tools for IT project management? Karan Shinde has asked this question. One of the open source IT tools that can be used is Open Workbench. But one of the major challenges with open source tools is that to find trainings, appropriate trainings, and experts who can deliver trainings on those tools. So one other question from Satish is that if I can define some of the metrics for some of the services that a PMO does. I covered a slide. So if you get that slide recording, if you get the recorded sessions, then you'll see that there is a matrix, totally an example of all the metrics for all the core services are defined. Some could be like if I talk about professional development, then how many trainings have been implemented, number of trainings, number of certified managers that are there, number of projects percentage reduction in projects that have been outsourced. For business strategy alignment, number of projects that are aligned to the business goals. Now one question again from Satish is that should we have a PMO set up for each portfolio practice, or should there be only one PMO? See, having different PMOs and managing them is a costly affair. So as I said, you should always start with a PMO by providing the basic services from level 1 and then gradually mature. So you can start at a very if you pick up certain core critical projects, start at that level and then gradually mature it to all the projects level, then program level, then portfolio level. So one PMO should be able to suffice your organization's requirement. Multiple PMOs, multiple management becomes difficult. One of the questions from Vikas is that what are the various templates used for PMO framework? Now there could be various templates used for reporting, communication, and as I talked about the various implementing the project portfolio management systems, they have predefined templates for handling all these. So once it comes to templatization, there are various standards also which can be followed, like IT projects are following agile methodologies, which has a standard for PMI also has its own defined standards which can be used. One of the questions from Mr. S.S. Aurora is that project management center of excellence, can PMO work as a profit center? Yes, it can. Center of excellence is one of the topmost level of the PMO. It is when the PMO is generally aligned to the business goals, strategic vision, and it is the highest, most and the most mature PMO you're talking about. So to reach that level, one has to ensure that the other levels are streamlined, standard processes are being set, continuous improvements are happening, competency of the organization has also enhanced. One question from Mr. Manimaran, that do we need a special training to be a part of PMO? As I started this session, I talked about this PMO is a specialized unit who will provide coaching, mentoring to all the other project managers, project management staff. They will be providing templates, reporting. So it's always beneficial that they are specialized in that skill set. The skill set is project management. So there are various certifications, trainings which one can go through, and it will obviously help them understand the subject project management better. So yes, I would recommend that if you are going to be a part of PMO, it's always beneficial to be certified from PMI or Prince 2 certification, PMP certification. One more question is that some more insight on the working on governance part. See, as a PMO, as a unit, PMO should not only be concerned about day-to-day activities, day-to-day project-related activities. They should always add value to the organization. The PMO should be able to help the senior management, the senior stakeholders when it comes to selecting projects, when it comes to prioritizing projects, when it comes to killing a project. So a project management office should add value at the topmost level also. It's not that you are only concentrated towards achieving your daily tasks or project related activities. It should add value to the organization as well. So you have to closely work with the governance. One question from Vikas Gupta is that what is the data source for various templates? Now, which templates, if you are talking about, if you talk about generic templates related to plans, reporting, if you are using any software in your organization, those tools will have predefined reporting templates, predefined templates for scheduling. But if you're not using that, there are various sites which you can visit in Google and find some of the templates for plans, reporting, scheduling, monitoring, tracking. But always remember, again, just like PMO, there is no standard template for every project. It has to be customized according to the requirements of your organization. So another question is that, is there any thumb rule for the size of PMO? There is no thumb rule as for the size of PMO. It totally depends on what are the services the PMO is offering, what is the scale, what level do they want to achieve, and how many projects they are taking care of, how many projects are running on in the organization, how many programs are running on in the organization. So typically it can range from a member of 10 member to, it can range up to 100 members also. So very matured organizations which have most mature PMO organization, they have around 100 people sitting in their PMO team, and organizations which are talking about only projects related activities, it can be done with a team of 10 to 15. In 10 to 15 there could be people who are good with schedules, people who are good with monitoring, tracking, people who are good with training, people who are good with providing the strategic vision. So let me run through any more questions. One of the questions is from Vishwajit. He said that when stakeholders are autocratic and don't give much value to your suggestions. Whenever you're talking about stakeholders, you'll always find both positive and negative stakeholders. It's the job of the project manager to show the results, to show the benefits of any initiative. Yes, it's very easy to say and difficult to do, but yes, if you could show the value through various ROIs and the benefits that your organization is going to get through process improvement, capacity development, goodwill, the number of projects that you will win because of good bench strength, good processes in place, I guess even an autocratic stakeholder, negative stakeholder could be converted to a positive stakeholder. One other question is that which tool is better, Microsoft Project Server or Oracle Primavera? I'll tell you, both these tools ultimately lead to the same result, whereas you can get better dashboarding, reporting, scheduling, monitoring, tracking. But the use of Microsoft is more into IT, ITS, and training people on Microsoft project is easier, because if you talk about any Microsoft applications, they are easy to use. Oracle Primavera is mostly used in construction, engineering, oil and gas. But yes, me being a trainer for both Microsoft Project and Oracle Primavera, it would not be good for me to say which one is better. Both the tools suffice ultimately the same goal, but yes, it totally depends on the organization and what tools they are using or which industry they cater to. Now another question is, how is PlanView compared to Microsoft Project? Again, Microsoft Project is a tried and tested tool which has been running in the industry from quite a long time, and it's easy to use, and plus if you're using the latest version, they have various reports, reporting tools, reports templates that are available that could be used as is, or it can be just customized a bit to meet our requirements. I always prefer MSP better than PlanView. One question from Manivaran is that who is initiating the PMO setup? Is it from organization or from project manager? The buy-in has to be from the organization. Anybody can suggest a PMO, whosoever thinks a PMO is required, maybe a program manager or a portfolio manager, can suggest the need for a PMO, but it has to be approved and buy-in from the senior management has to be there. To go ahead, the senior management must have a go-ahead. Okay, so any more questions you have? I guess there is a place where you can post your questions also, and because of time constraint I would not be able to answer all the questions. There's a long list of questions, so you can just post your questions and I would be happy to answer them in detailed manner so that all your queries are resolved.
Thank you, Bhaskar. I'm really thankful to you for conducting this webinar.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank,
So thanks everyone, and thanks Deepika.
Thank you, and I'd also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a huge success. The recording of this webinar will be available on techgig.com very soon. Thank you all.